Hey lacrosse friends, welcome once again to Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse. I am Steven Stamp, your host. Very excited to have you with me this week for another great show. Very excited to have Eli McLaughlin of the Colorado Mammoth and Brad Kri of the Toronto Rock here on the show, both fresh off big wins in the quarterfinals and both getting ready for some really challenging and interesting matchups in the division finals as we progress toward an NLL Cup championship. Thanks for being with me here on Lacrosse Link. Enjoy the show. Make sure you stick around for the rundown where you get the news that you need about the world of lacrosse here on Lacrosse Link.
Watched by Danby, a big pick from McGraw and another one. Back to McGraw. He's going to let it rip and scores. Liam McGraw from downtown.
Joining me on Lacrosse Link from the West Division finalist Colorado Mammoth, Eli McLaughlin. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on, and what an exciting game. And I want to jump straight into something that you guys probably get tired of, but I know everyone outside looks at the Colorado-Calgary rivalry and sees how much it's been one-sided in Calgary's favor in the playoffs. And I'm so curious how much that affects you guys. And now that you've kind of snapped that in pretty dramatic fashion, can you look back and be like, yeah, okay, that really was kind of weighing on us? And or were you really able to push it aside?
Yeah, I think, that's definitely in the back of a lot of the guys here have been here for a while's minds. I think with a bunch of the newer guys, they haven't really experienced like losing to Calgary then. So, maybe that helped us a bit there.
In the game on the weekend, it was a tight game throughout. There was the moment I felt like the turning point was, Eli Salama scores that great goal for them to bring them back within a goal. There's that extended scrum off the ensuing face-off, and then Tim Edwards comes up with the ball and just lobs it ahead to Zed Williams, who somehow they just didn't cover. He found himself a little open space, goes in on a breakaway and scores. And to me, that felt like it just felt like you guys responding to whatever Calgary was throwing at you at that point. And from there, it seemed like you really felt comfortable and took control of the game.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, with that slalom goal, you could kind of feel the momentum, the crowd get back into it. And, for Zed, he's such a big guy, he did a great job kind of hiding away there and then finishing. So yeah, that one, kind of killed their momentum, and we were able to, kind of take over there.
It's been such a toss-up all season. I mean, when San Diego comes out to the really hot start, Calgary had the really slow start. You guys had your ups and downs. Everyone seemed to kind of just meet at the end. The three of you wind up tied for top spot in the West, and it's so hard to tell going into the playoffs how that kind of thing, how momentum is going to play. I mean, going into the playoffs, it looked like Calgary was the hot team, as they were a few years ago when they wound up winning the championship. But how much does that seem to play into it? Because sometimes it seems like the team that's hot coming in keeps that going and just rolls on, but other times it seems to just toss that out when the playoffs start.
Yeah, especially with just the one game elimination, it's always you just have a bad game or you get hot at the right time and kind of steal one. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting year with the parity and blog back and forth. We were a real Jekyll and Hyde home and away. We really loved playing at home, and loved playing at the Loud House, and we just finally kind of figured it out how to play on the road there, and hopefully we can keep it up and against San Diego this coming week.
Yeah, because you'll need at least one more road win to move on to the NLL Cup final, obviously with San Diego having the home floor advantage, and two of the three West Division final games would be in San Diego if it goes to 3 games. And I'm wondering, you talk about, loving to play at the Loud House, loving to play in Denver, and we were just discussing before how there's probably 9 or 10 of you from the team that are living in Denver this year. And I know the Mammoth have always tried to have some players in market. This seems like a lot, and I'm wondering how much that helps in terms of just having the guys there, being able to get together and really giving you a home field advantage.
Oh, for sure. We all work out together 2 3 times a week and 8 a.m. And, I think that builds a lot of, camaraderie, and, we all stick together. As I like to say, if we go out for dinner or go out for, a couple drinks on the town, like we roll deep. So we don't leave anyone behind. And, that definitely helps, bring us closer together and as better friends and teammates.
One of the cool things, I think, looking at your squad, at the roster, the way it's constructed and the way that you've had success this year is you have guys stepping into roles and changing some of the way that different players, what the expectations or the needs for them. Like one example, I think, is Joey Capito has always been the lightning strike, the transition guy. But when he had to miss a game, or if he's, got other things, if there's opportunities aren't really there for him, Jordan Gillis has stepped in and played a very similar role, played such a big role for you guys. And I look at Connor Robinson, who comes in, because you've played a big role as a key lefty for the club. And now Connor, scoring 42 goals this year and really taking some of the pressure and attention away from you and letting you do your thing as well. It just seems like there's a lot of complementary pieces that seem to be working for you right now.
Oh, definitely. I know we watched, me and Connor watched the game the other day, and just, kind of just shocked at how well Gillis played. Not shocked, but, just surprised at how he performed like every single game, and the way he's able to shut down, big guys. And, especially being, I think he's like a 5th round pick. We were just saying how, not too many guys like that out there. And then, hope he missed a bunch of games for his kid, and, Nick Finley stepped up, and, just kind of, it was just a lot of next man up. And then with the whole Connor coming in, I definitely took a little pressure off. I think a couple years past, I've been more like on ball, like they want me to have the ball, and I think I do well both kind of the game, like off ball and on ball. So being able to kind of let him handle the rock of it has definitely helped me out.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a good outside shooter and so good at shooting from the top that it feels like it's taken some coverage away from you. And your quick stick game seems to be really picking up, because you have that chance now where they have to pay some more attention elsewhere, and it's just giving you a chance to slide into open spots.
Oh, for sure. If he's getting hot around the top, I can, either set a seal or slip off that kind of backside. And he's really good at swinging it to Leeser or Zeddy. Been finding me backside pretty well.
So what is the preparation? What's the mindset going into the West Championship Series against San Diego with, the 2 out of 3? So there's a little bit of margin for error, but not much. But how important is it, for one thing, to try and go and win that first game? Because then you get a chance to close it out at home.
It'll be huge if you can, steal that first one, and then you come back. And like I said, you play really well at home. And, it's exciting, definitely exciting. And looking forward to getting after it. I think we got film tomorrow night with the offense, and then I know games on Friday, I think.
Yes.
So probably fly in Thursday morning and get a good practice in and do some more film, and get a good rest, good food, get ready for the game.
Yeah. Are you guys doing all the practicing in Denver still, like day before games usually?
Usually, yeah. I mean, I don't think we have so many guys from just all over the place that it's, we don't have the luxury of like Buffalo or Toronto where you can practice midweek and get everyone together. So
that's always
grind,
right? Middle of the country, got guys from the east, from the west. Even with 9 or 10 guys living there, it's always a challenge in Denver to get everyone.
A lot of Alberta guys too, and so we just grind out those practices the day before, and seems to be working, I guess.
It seems to be working okay, certainly lately, and it's going to be an exciting finals series with game 1 in San Diego coming up quickly, and then game 2 back in Denver. As we're recording, the date isn't announced yet exactly when you'll play, but you will be the following weekend in Denver, and then who knows, maybe another trip to San Diego afterwards. But either way, it's been great having you on. Great to follow the team, and look forward to seeing how things go in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for having me.
Joining me on Lacrosse Link from the Toronto Rock, getting set to play in the East Division Final, Brad Kri. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's always good to catch up. And, you know, what an exciting game in the first round against Halifax. Probably turned out a little more exciting than you guys were thinking it might be or were hoping it would be, certainly at halftime. And I'm wondering, like, did you have a sense that, I mean, obviously you're not going to count out a team like Halifax, but do you feel like you guys might have got a little complacent or might have started to count your chickens before they were hatched, or was Halifax just that good in the second half?
Yeah, I don't think so. I've had that question asked a couple times. Like, I don't think, we must be, we're not in the business to, think that, the game's over like that. I mean, if you had a head into the dressing room, you hear anything, it's, don't be complacent. You know what we did to Buffalo last week, what kind of team they are, all the cliche things. So I don't think so. I think honestly they just started hitting their shots and they're a good team. Like, we scored 9 goals in the first half. So what makes you think that they can't score a 9 in the second half? It's just lacrosse, man. It's the game of runs.
Yeah. And I'm curious how you regroup, because obviously, you like you said, they can do it. You scored 9, they could score 9, but they come back and they actually go ahead partway through the fourth quarter, and you need to score a goal to come back and eventually force overtime, although there was quite a bit of time after that, and it took a lot to just avoid overtime for both teams coming down the stretch. But how do you regroup when things start turning like that and they do get that run that you're talking about?
Well, for me, I had that self-confidence of like, we could not get a stop. But I mean, I always had it in the back of my mind that, I know who our offense is. I know, they're going to eventually, counter all these goals that they're getting. We're not going to get shut out the whole second half or fourth quarter. Like so that's kind of one thing that had in the back of my mind. And I just knew, like, I know how good our offense is. I know how good Rosie is. He's going to end up finding a stop and end up finding more than one for us. But I think it's just the confidence in both offense and defense for me.
And as a group, your defense has been so good this year. Mitch Desnew, who I think had been underrated for years, but I think people are realizing now how good he is. I also think he probably had his best year in the league. You had a great year, and Latrell Harris in the second half was unbelievable. But to me, the real strength of the defense, of any defense, needs to be depth. And to me, guys like, I think Josh Jubenville is a good example of a guy who a lot of people don't know a lot about maybe, but every week he just goes out and plays well and makes big plays. I thought he made a couple of big plays for you on the weekend. And is that, to you, like, does that seem like a really big factor, is having that depth that you can bring guys like, Phil Mazuka, and you can bring all these guys into play and rely on them to be there in big moments?
Yeah. For me, like, if it wasn't for, these crazy athletes like Challen and Courier, I think Mitch would be up for transition player of the year, to be honest. But, could say the same for Latrell. If he was healthy for the full season, I can see him being defense or transition player of the year. But it goes to say, like, we've got guys like Adam J and Jason Noble not in the lineup. So, like, what does that say for depth? And we've got these unexpected young rookies that have just, kind of excelled and, put our coaching staff in tough positions, good positions, I guess. But, with who sits and who plays is thankfully it's not my job, but it just goes to show the depth with the 3 or 4 guys we have sitting out.
Yeah, I'm a big Adam J fan, and to see him sitting really does speak to what Jamie Dawick and the group have put together in the back end. One of the things I really noticed, I thought on last weekend when you were playing Halifax was you guys are the fourth most penalized team in the league this year. You're certainly not afraid to get gritty, take some penalty minutes because that's part of what happens when you're playing aggressive defense. But I thought you guys looked like you were being very aware of being disciplined and not taking bad penalties. And in fact, you guys didn't take a defensive penalty as a standalone in that game. And there was one moment I thought in the first half at some point where you guys had knocked down a Halifax ball carrier. He still had the ball. He's on the floor. There's 3 or 4 of you around, and guys are like trying to get the ball, checking, being pretty physical, pretty aggressive, but it looked like being super aware of not, slashing the body or doing something in that vulnerable position that's so easy to take a penalty. Was that definitely part of the game plan of being smart about when you're being aggressive?
Yeah, I think that just speaks to our athleticism. You know what I mean? Like if, the only time I find myself or teams getting really, in penalty trouble is when, they're not up to speed and they're taking a holding penalty and stuff. So like for me, we're skilled and we're athletic. So we're always in the right position where, we don't need to, to take a penalty when, times like that, we rely on our size and speed and athleticism for stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the reason, why we're not taking those, costly penalties.
You mentioned Nick Rose, playing well and believing in him. He's had a great year. Wasn't his best game statistically. There were a couple stretches where I think he looked a little shaky, but down the stretch, 4 minutes to go, there's the break. They get one shot and then they get a rebound. I think it was Keogh with his own shot and his own rebound. 2 minutes ago, there's the breakaway opportunity where I think it was Tarasenko and Armstrong get one shot and then another. And then in the final seconds, again, back-to-back saves, which one thing that strikes me is it makes you realize how athletic he is for a big guy, because I think the reason he was able to make all those second saves was because he would make the first save and be able to pop back up into position to be ready for the second one. Were you guys just looking at him when he made those saves and thinking, holy cow?
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing plays like that all year. I mean, that was probably had a little bit more on the line there, but one thing I'll say about Rosie is he's a gamer. You know what I mean? So if, say what you want about him having that tough stretch there, I mean, those guys were just hitting their shots. So I wouldn't say he was necessarily playing bad. I mean, we might have been on our heels a little too much and gave Halifax good shooters good shots. And obviously, they were hitting their shots, but yeah, that's why I'm confident in Rosie, is because like he's going to battle the whole 60 or 60 plus minutes for you. And he's a gamer and he wants to win. And there actually might not be a more competitive guy than him.
Yeah. When you get into the 60 plus and you need a goal, did it surprise anyone at all that it was Challen Rogers who tipped that ball ahead past everybody and went and got it and set himself up for the breakaway? That I felt when he was going in, like, he's going to score. This is Challen Rogers in this situation. He's going to score.
Yeah, I think that's how most people in the building thought. I didn't even really know how the whole play happened. I was down by the crease, but finally got a chance to watch it the next day or whatever. And it kind of, you could see everyone on their feet. So that was an exciting time for us and being in Hamilton in that moment. We could look back on, in some time. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who else you want on a breakaway on our team than Challen for sure. And he's been moved around a lot all year, and he's kind of, as coaches have already talked, he's been, done whatever we've asked for him to do. So yeah, real Swiss Army knife Challen is.
So you move on to Buffalo in the division final, which, I mean, they looked like such a juggernaut for much of the year, and then, came back to earth a little bit at the end, including you guys beating them in the final game of the season you alluded to earlier in the conversation. And how much does beating them twice, including in the last game of the year, matter as you head into this championship series or East Championship Series, or is that just all out the window and it's just 2 games out of 3?
Yeah, I guess you could say it's a bit of confidence knowing that we, statistically beat the best team in the league twice. The last game didn't really mean much, but I mean, it's still a game, and, both teams were still going out there to win the game. So I would say there's a bit of confidence in there, but I mean, at the same time, it is a brand new season, and it's kind of, we restart and reset, and going to Banditland on Sunday, I believe, and gonna have a fresh new series. Really,
I think it's gonna be very exciting. I think it's a great matchup. I know a lot of people are saying, well, this is kind of the championship series because the East has been stronger, has won 2/3 of the games between the conferences or the divisions this year. But obviously, I would say, I guess, two things. One, whoever, if you get to the final, you're not going to dismiss anyone. But second, there's a long way to go before that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, the teams get to the finals for a reason, right? So there isn't an easy series in this league, let alone a finals. So, but right now our focus is on Buffalo, and whatever happens after that, we can worry about later.
Always appreciate the time. It's great to catch up, and look forward to running into you in a rink in person soon as we get back to full play.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Hi, this is Jaden with Al Anderson Source for Sports. Excited to tell you that we got all our new lacrosse product in for this upcoming season. Whether you're playing box or field, our lacrosse experts are going to make sure we get you into the right equipment to elevate your game. At Al Anderson Source for Sports, we know our stuff.
All right. Really enjoyed talking to Eli McLaughlin from the Colorado Mammoth and Brad Kri from the Toronto Rock. Hope you enjoyed them as well. And of course, we hit the rundown running with the NLL playoff schedule. Both those teams will be in division championship action this weekend. Friday night, things get going in San Diego. The Mammoth are in town. They'll go back to Denver the following weekend. And if a third game is needed, back to San Diego the weekend after that. Of course, in the East, we'll be in Buffalo this Sunday and then back to to Hamilton for the Toronto Rock home game. And then if a game 3 is needed, it's back to Buffalo the following weekend. Both great stories, I think, for these series. San Diego just won their first playoff game in the franchise. Colorado has had years of playoff disappointment. One of them is going to take an absolutely massive step forward for their franchise in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And in the East, it is one of the great rivalries in the sport. Toronto, Buffalo, the top 2 teams in the league all year, and that is going to be an exciting one to see. And then, of course, we go on to the NLL Cup final. It's awards time with the regular season over, so you can go to IL Indoor and check out all of our awards. We've started releasing them this week, announcing all of our award winners, and we'll wrap that up with a handful more coming next week. So make sure you go to ilindoor.com to check it all out and see who we have honored with our top player and coach and GM awards in the National Lacrosse League. And let us know what you think. You can always hit me up on Twitter at StampLax, and just let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree. I'm sure some of you are going to disagree with some of the picks. It tends to happen. But love to hear what you have to say and what you think. On the field side of things, the NCAA Division I men's tournament has been announced. Huge controversy. The big thing everyone's talking about, Notre Dame, number 4 in the Inside Lacrosse poll, out. They did not get selected for the tournament as one of the at-large bids. They didn't win their conference, so no automatic qualifier, and they did not make it. The tournament committee saying, just didn't have the big wins that they needed. And a lot of people are saying, hey, they played Maryland, the top seed, closer than anyone else this year. Just watching the games, it feels like Notre Dame should be in there, should be part of that. So interesting, there's been some talk. Will this change the way the selection is handled? Will it change the selection process? Don't know. But that's going to be exciting to see if Maryland can run the table again, as I think most people are probably expecting they will. So NCAA Division I men's playoffs getting going, Division I women getting going very soon as well. And will that be Boston College and Charlotte North repeating? We'll see. UNC North Carolina has been awfully good on the women's side. The World Games schedule has been released, so you can go and check it out. We'll pop them up on the screen so you can see how things will play out. It is going to be very quick. There are 8 teams in the men's pool and 8 teams in the women's pool. The men play first. They have 4 days. They will be in 2 groups of 4. They play a round robin and then crossovers for 7th place and 5th place, semifinal games, and then the medal games, and those semis and medal games are on day 4. So it'll be 3 days of round robin play, and then semis and finals all on day 4. It is going to be intense. 4 days of men's and then 4 days of women's. A very compact schedule. You can see it all and see how things may just play out. Now, Back in Canada, summer lacrosse is underway. And their junior B teams have already played 6 games as we're recording this. Things get flying very quickly once the season comes around. Senior B is underway in Ontario with some games having been played. Games are getting rolling across Canada. And in a couple of weeks, Major Series Lacrosse and the Western Lacrosse Association, the highest levels of the game in the amateur side of things in Canada, are going to get underway. So that will be very exciting to see that get rolling. Women's Major Series Lacrosse, newly named Women's Major Series Lacrosse, also gets rolling very soon. So a lot of excitement going. But it's not just in Canada. The National Lacrosse League and USA Lacrosse have announced a partnership. The box game has been growing in the US by leaps and bounds, but it's been hard to keep up with development opportunities for players, and really for officials and coaches is huge. So a big announcement, the NLL and USA Lacrosse partnering to grow the box game. It's a huge factor in the growth and the future success of box lacrosse, having more players get the opportunity to play in the United States. There's hunger for it. We see people who get a chance. We talked last week about the She-Box and how much the women who got to play there loved playing the box game. They want to go. They are all acolytes, are all proselytizers now for the game of box lacrosse. They are pushing it around the world leading up to the 2024 Worlds. Speaking of which, just wait until that tournament. Things are growing in Canada. They're growing in the States. They are taking off around the world. I'm hearing there could be up to 30 men's teams who want to take part in the 2024 World Championship. There are also a lot of women's nations that are keen to get there for the first ever Women's World Championship. So there is a lot going on around the world in the game of box lacrosse. You love to see it. Very exciting to see how that all comes about. Thanks so much, lacrosse friends, for being with us here on Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse. I'm your host, Steven Stamp. Can't wait to see you next week.